Senator Petersen, the gentleman from Fairfax City.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I want to speak a little bit on the Jane Woods, and let me begin by saying...
The Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Most of you, if not all of you, will think of Jane Woods as a well-known state senator, a member of the House of Delegates, a cabinet secretary, and someone who had a statewide reputation. But for those of us in Fairfax City, we knew Jane as a neighbor, and she was an icon in Fairfax City. I knew her when I was a boy growing up. She lived across the street. And I think of a lot of the women in that era of the 1970s and 1980s, Jane Woods, Phyllis Salak, Marion Tucker, who was Tom Moss's chief of staff, Ellen Brower, Mary Petersen. They were the women that kind of ran the city of Fairfax. And both Republicans and Democrats, they worked together. They had a reputation for independence. They had a reputation for intelligence. And Jane was the gold standard. And it's funny, Jane has always been an idol of mine, which is interesting because she never endorsed me. And early in my career, oftentimes I'd have political opponents that would send her out to debate me because they didn't want to talk to me. But we grew to have a great respect for each other. And, you know, one of my favorite conversations with Jane was about this time last year. I spoke in memorial to Jack Rust, who was another icon of Fairfax City. And I spoke from the heart because we had been pretty bitter rivals when I was running for the House of Delegates, and I grew to have great respect for him. I always did. And Jane came up to me afterwards and let me know how much it meant to the family what I had said. And I saw her at the funeral, and what I did not know was she had cancer, and she was desperately ill. And she didn't mention that. In fact, I ended up hearing that from somebody else. And that was Jane Wood. She always put other people first. She was in pain. She was living alone at that time, but rather than focus on herself, she was always talking about, Chap, you need to look after this person, or this neighbor needs a helping hand, or talk to the Rust family. And she always put other people first. And, you know, I'm very proud to be from Fairfax City. It's a small community located in Northern Virginia. We stick together, and Jane will always be, in a lot of ways, a role model for me to chase after, someone who had the courage to do what she thought was the right thing again and again, and someone who was well respected for good reason, and someone who was, at the end of the day, a good person, a good Christian, and someone who was a great person of faith. And I would ask that we approve this resolution. Thank you.
The resolution will be agreed to in the usual manner. All those in favor of agreeing to the memorial resolution, please rise. The resolution is agreed to.